everybody from Windy Acre Bees out in Western Massachusetts, and the topic of our conversation or this video is going to be the vaccine that the USDA decided to announce that they've come up with for American foul brood with your honeybee colonies. So it's going to probably be not a real long video, but I don't know how long it's going to be, but please listen to everything that I'm going to throw out to you as my personal opinions based on my history and my research and my past as a medic. I worked with probably several hundred doctors and nurses over 26 years, emergency rooms, regular hospital settings, done tons and tons of medical classes over those years, and then I've gained a lot of knowledge from the medical standpoint of a lot of stuff. So that's my background in that, and of course beekeeping and my full-time job too as well. So what I wanted to do was just before that, just touch on what I'm doing here is melting wax down. I've already done a 20-pound block of beeswax, and it's really amazing. I got a bag over here just with a little piece left over from yesterday, and it's amazing. It never ceases to amaze me that you can get this, and you can see how dark and crummy looking this is. This is comb from a cutout that I did, and some cappings here too as well that are dried up. But that you can get that to turn something into something as golden as that there, and just use it for all kinds of purposes. We use every bit of stuff that the bees produce to our benefit, and it really works out well. But it is just amazing. So I'm going to leave that right here for now. We're just melting down the wax that we've rendered, plus the XX wax that I got here, 30-pound block, and just putting it into molds so that it makes it easier to make the hand lotions, lip balms, and things like that we do. And I don't want to take business away from anybody, but we're not all rich, so we always look for the cut corners to save money. These molds right here, these are silicone molds. You can see the wax is in there. I'm going to try to peel one of these out really soon and show you what it looks like. But you can get a lot of these. For instance, a bread pan mold right here, 2 of these from Ocean State Job Lot for I think like $10. They're oven safe. People cook bread and all kinds of stuff in these things in the oven up to I think like 400 degrees, I think it is. And so these are great. If you have a big block of wax, you can melt it down, pour it into one of these, and then let it cool, and then tip it out, and you save space that way and can store your wax. These molds here, let's see, this one here. These molds here that I got online from Amazon, they're 1 ounce for every cup, and I pour them in there because my wife uses 1 ounce increments for her lip balms and things like that. So, and then I have 2 ounce molds here. All this stuff, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think 3 of these came as a package, so that was 12 molds, and they wound up being like $13-14 for that. And then these extra molds here, I think I spent another $15 for those. So I mean, for 30 bucks, whereas when you go down a beekeeping supply store, you end up spending $30 just for one. And I understand they got to make money, but it's a huge markup on their end. So I save money when I can. I'm gonna pop one of these out because I know it's cool already, but this is the mold that it ends up making right there. I don't know if you can see that really good, but it is. I'll walk over here and show it closer to the camera. But this is the mold that winds up coming out of it here. I think the light's shining on it kind of bright, but if you can see it there, it's a honeybee right in the center of that mold. And this is about maybe just over 1 ounce. So those are the kinds of things that we're doing today. I'm going to set that there aside. So just a little tip, in case you're looking to do something like this, it saves you a lot of money. Just, look a lot of places online for this. So let's get into the main topic. The United States Department of Agriculture released a statement about a week ago about a vaccine for American foul brood. I stumbled on it like 20 minutes after they published it. So there's a lot of variables when it comes to this, and as soon as I saw it, I was like, here we go again. So I instantly got to researching. I think I was up to like 2 o'clock one morning, just reading the paper, some of the paperwork, and reading subsequent articles that came out. It was funny because there was a lot of different news sources that kind of like published it all at once. So, anyways, the USDA came out with that vaccine, and David Burns, I think, was like one of the first ones to jump on it. He is an EA certified beekeeper out in Illinois. I have a lot of respect for him. I do purchase some things from him. He's provided me a lot of help over the last couple of years. And another person she's Bee Fit Beekeeping. Check her out on YouTube. Subscribe to her. She's got some great videos. I have a lot of respect for her too, because she really researches the crap out of everything that she does with every part of her beekeeping, and she passes her mistakes, her successes, her good times, bad times with bees, and she publishes all of that, so you really get a sense of everything she does, not just the good, happy, glory stuff that beekeepers tend to throw out on YouTube. So this, in my opinion, the AFB thing is not one of those happy things as far as I'm concerned, as far as my opinions are concerned. So as I'm doing these molds here, I am going to talk to you about that. So I'm sorry if I'm bouncing around. I don't know if you got to turn your volume up just a little bit just to hear me, because I'm in a little bit of an echo chamber of my shop here, even with a microphone. But so yeah, AFB. AFB is, just to put it plain and simple, it's a deadly bacteria of sorts. It's a pathogen that kills our honeybees, and it's extremely contagious. It has not been cured yet. There are no cures or treatments for it. The end result is when you find it in your colony, you not only you have to destroy that colony by burning all of it. Any tools you touch with it have to be burned. Any equipment, any boxes, brood frames, everything, and the bees. And then you have to test your other colonies and keep testing them for a little while. And chances are you'll infect your other colonies, and you may have already infected some other colonies nearby. So we're going to roll that all into this vaccine discussion. Please bring this information I give you to your local bee club and have a group discussion. Forget everything else you do for one night, and have a good hour-long, at least, discussion with your bee club, and get a lot of opinions and a lot of information out there about this vaccine that you can. I am not an anti-vaccine person. I'm not an anti-drug person. There are a lot of miracles out there as far as the pharmaceutical world that help us get through ailments, help us cure ailments, and vaccines. When they were first starting to be developed years and years and years ago, they really did a good job, and it did stop a lot of things that were going on. It hasn't cured everything, but it has slowed or stopped a lot of things that have happened to us as human beings. But I'm very gun shy when it comes to somebody throwing out a vaccine, publicizing it so huge, throwing hormones and vaccines into our livestock, our agriculture. I'm even very leery about the stuff I treat my bees with. Now, I use Mite Away Quick Strips, and I use OA, and I stay as natural to those bees as I can. Number one, I don't want to kill my bees, and I don't want to put that stuff into any of the products that I use. But in addition to that, I don't want an end consumer, having any issues because of products that, I use or anybody else uses, either in our honey or our wax for that matter. So the vaccine is going to turn into a big discussion topic over here over the next couple months. Let me just give you off the bat the definition of a vaccine. A vaccine is developed by taking a pathogen that gets into our body, and if it's harmful, that pathogen has, let's just for layman's terms, has a DNA sequence or RNA sequence, and it has, scientists label those sequences as numbers, 1 through 1,000 or 1 through 10. So let's just take 1 through 10 for example. There's different parts of that DNA to that pathogen that have a sequence. So let's just say it's 1 through 10, and what they do is the harmful part of that pathogen could be numbers 3, 7, and 9, for instance. So what they do is they're supposed to remove 3, 7, and 9, which is the harmful ingredients to that pathogen that harm us or make us sick. So once they remove that, it basically makes that pathogen inert, but there's still enough of that DNA to that pathogen that now they can take that and mix it with a couple other ingredients that our bodies, and they're supposed to be doing it this way, that our bodies accept and aren't dangerous to us, so that when our body receives that vaccine, that our body doesn't harm us, or it doesn't cause harm to our body. So what ends up happening is they put all those ingredients together with that pathogen that's now inert, and then they inject it into our body. When it's injected into a body, what it does is our body's immune system sends a response out to it, and it records that sequence without the numbers 3, 7, and 9. And even with that, it'll record that sequence in our body. It'll develop antibodies, and the next time we're exposed to it, then what ends up happening is the body goes and attacks it. It recognizes it, and it just gets rid of it. Our bodies and even our livestock, we're susceptible. We're exposed to like 40 different pathogens a day, and I know that's hard to believe. But as we, after we're born, throughout our life, we're exposed to this stuff. Our body develop. It's amazing what we do. We're develop antibodies to that stuff, and if we're exposed to it again, then either we have any symptoms to it, or they're usually mild symptoms, and a lot of people don't even know that they had it. They were exposed to it. So that's what a true vaccine is, and that's how it works. I haven't fully seen that in the paperwork so far that I've seen. I haven't seen that information published yet in that paperwork for as far as the AFB vaccine. So I want to throw a couple wrenches into this, just so that you get some questions going on in your head, or maybe even answer some questions for you. I've had a lot of questions from beekeeping community on Gab. What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? And I have tried to put out what I think, but it's easier to throw a video up and explain it this way. So let me give you a scenario. Let's just say we're gonna work with the guy down the street that has 100 colonies. Okay, he has got to he's got to take a lot of things into consideration, as well as I do. Now, when something has a lot more questions than answers to it, then that's a huge red flag to me, and this particular topic is one of them. How much is this vaccine going to cost? Now, vaccines for livestock and for agriculture and for us usually start at around $100. Not to say that this is going to. There are some vaccines contents that are a little less than that, and there's some that are way more than that. So a vaccine, let's just use an average of $100 for an AFB vaccine. Now, this guy here is all excited. He's got 100 colonies, and he wants to get his 100 queens vaccinated. $100 times 100 queens, that's $10,000. Think of the commercial beekeepers that have 500, 1,000. I know a beekeeper that has between 2,500 and 3,000 colonies that he moves around the United States. So if he was, to say, hey, I want to do this, he's got to put out some serious, we're talking in the tens of thousands of dollars for commercial beekeepers. The USDA has said that this is only going to be available initially, provisionally, through or to these commercial beekeepers and not us, which that's fine with me. So I'm going to keep talking here while I pop out a couple molds. But so that's a lot of money just to get bees vaccinated. So this guy spends $10,000 on a vaccine for all his bees, and he really, before I continue here, I want to show you this other mold. It's pretty cool that I found these. Again, I found these online, but we're going to hold it up real close there. And I don't know if you can see it, but it's the sun and the moon. And these are going to end up being lotion bars when we get all done with them like that. So, so that's enough with the molds. I'm going to pop these out while I talk. They, where was I? Oh yeah. So this guy's going to spend $10,000. Now, if you read the paper, right off the bat, and for the first part of it, it says that I got to give these bees vaccines, which is great, but they're only 30 to 50% effective. So let's take the 100 colonies this guy has, and he's going to buy a vaccine, and he's going to place it in a queen candy, and the queens are supposed to ingest this. But he's buying 100 of these for $10,000, so let's just throw that out, and he's only going to have about 50% to 70% of his colonies that will actually be vaccinated, or maybe they won't eat it, or their queens will reject it, whatever have you. So, or it's only going to be effective in 50 to 70% of his colonies, and not 100%. So he's throwing a gamble out as to which ones of his colonies are actually going to, let's put it this way, accept that vaccine, and it's going to work if indeed this does work. We're not even sure that this is going to be working at 50%. They're just throwing that out there right now. So he's taking a gamble at $10,000 and risking $5,000 of that money he spent on a vaccine for his bees just out the door, out the window. In addition to that, he doesn't know which one of those colonies is actually going to be truly vaccinated. And the reason why I say this is you don't know if you have AFB until you see the signs and symptoms of your bees. So he gives these bees a vaccine, and then a little bit, 2 months goes by or whatever have you, and he goes and pops open, does a hive inspection real quick, and he finds half of his colonies wiped out. It smells horrible. He's got sunken brood. It smells like a rotting corpse inside of his bee colony. And he does a test, which I have 2 tests up there for EFB and AFB, and does a test on his colony and finds out he's got AFB. So now he sits back and goes, well, that was a waste of $100. I got AFB in my colony, and my bees are all dying or dead. Now he's got a whole world of other problems to deal with in his apiary or wherever he is, wherever he's got these bees. So once he's realized that, now he's got to go through all of his colonies, and he's got to find out which one of those colonies, if there's any others that are infected. So let's go back to that vaccine about the infection. Like I said, he's not going to know until his bees are actually infected if that vaccine actually worked. So to me, that's quite a gamble. I don't want to figure out which ones are vaccinated or not based on that. Let's see. So he spent all this money. He's got an infection in his bees. And to back up a little bit, we have estimated 65 million honeybee colonies in the United States that us as beekeepers maintain. That's not counting all the feral colonies that are out there. So in addition to the 65,000, you can also got to count on a lot of the colonies that are in packages and things like that are being distributed across the United States. So the other part of the example is, now that he has a colony infected, and if he has one infected, you can bet he's got more. He notifies the Department of Agriculture. He tells them what the story is. They come out and they test the rest of his colonies, and however colonies he has infected, because the vaccine didn't work in those colonies, he now has to burn all those colonies, which is any one of us would have to do the same thing, and the equipment, and yada yada yada. So that's just part of the problem. I live down the street from Joe Schmo, who has 100 bee colonies, and I've never had an AFB, but now possibly I do. So the other side of that coin is that the colonies that, let's just say the vaccine does work, and the other colonies that have taken the vaccine well and they are technically vaccinated can still bring in AFB into our environment. Let me explain that. That honeybee colony that has, let's just take one of his colonies that the vaccine worked in. He opens up and does inspections every week, every 2 weeks, whatever he does, and his bees look fine. They look healthy. There's no rotting brood. The bees haven't uncapped all the brood, and they just look like a happy, normal colony. So he says, great, my vaccine worked. I'm good to go. My bees are good to go. I'm going to move on and check all the other ones. And lo and behold, 50 of my colonies are perfectly healthy, and they look perfectly fine. But AFB is still in that colony, and it is not only in that colony, it is spreading and it's flourishing in that colony. So these spores are now filling up and multiplying inside of this colony that's vaccinated. He doesn't realize he has an infestation. More than likely, he doesn't realize that he's got an infestation of AFB in his colony. And now there are, if you went and tested that colony once a week, every week, then you would know right away. But that's pretty expensive at $20 a test. So he goes and he closes that hive up. Now me down the street, I have not had my bees vaccinated, and or maybe I did or didn't. And all of a sudden I go and inspect one of my colonies, and I find AFB in my colony, and probably more than one of my colonies, because this guy up the road decided he wanted to throw a frickin' vaccine in there and not recognize the symptoms and signs of American foul brood, which has now been spread to my colony 3 miles away, and whoever else's colony in that area that may or may not have had this, vaccine. So now my colonies are infected. Feral colonies are infected. We can't, it's hard enough for us to find a feral colony. There's hundreds of thousands of them across the country. You mean to tell me that your magnificent vaccine is going to be the cure-all for AFB? You're going to wipe out this guy over here who can't recognize AFB because his bees are doing fine, but it's in their hive. It's going to kill all these feral colonies in the area, and that's going to snowball all across the country. I'm telling you right now, in about 2 or 3 years, you're going to wipe out an entire nation's worth of feral honeybee colonies. Not to mention everybody who can't or does not can't afford or does not vaccinate their colony through these queens. Now, my other thing is they're talking about putting this vaccine in a queen candy, and the queens will eat it and they'll be vaccinated. Queens don't go around their colony and they don't sit there and eat. They may once or twice here or there, or during the wintertime, maybe a little bit, but nurse bees are who feed the queen. So you can't just put it together as queen candy. You actually have to feed it to the nurse bees. The hypothetical thing is that once the queen ingests this, it gets processed through her system, and this vaccine is supposed to be in her brood, so any subsequent brood from there at that point on is going to be vaccinated. I don't know how they came up with this study, because a honeybee's lifespan is only 40 to 45 days, okay? So a queen's life is, 3 to 5 years we replace the queens. If a queen dies, the colony kills her. Whatever happens to the queen, it happens to queens in natural. Now means I got to go spend more money for a queen, and I have now to spend more money to vaccinate her. Now the queen is $40 to $60 depending on the genetics of the queen. If you want a vaccinated queen, which I don't know how they're going to work that out with people who raise queens and sell them, now you got to spend $100 for that, so you're up to $140, $150 for one queen. Now, if I got vaccinated queens, our queens' biological makeup is a little bit different than the drones and the workers and the nurse bees. So if I do a split, is that new queen going to be vaccinated? How do I know if she's vaccinated? I mean, look at all these questions, folks. It's crazy. So now let's get back to the infections. So now my colonies and feral colonies are all infected with AFB because this guy down the road who thinks vaccines are the latest and greatest has now vaccinated his bees, but has no way to tell if his hive is infested with AFB. That's my opinion on that. Again, they could say, hey, you're just going to have to test your bees once a week or whatever and make sure they're okay. We don't do that now. we don't do anything unless we see a problem. Unfortunately, we're not as proactive sometimes with our bees because of time constraints and stuff. But if we're doing weekly inspections every 7 to 10 days, then we should know what's going on with our colony and how to fix it. I'm really confused as to number one, why they would put this out in such mass to everybody, and why they don't have any answers to these questions. I have already sent an email to the USDA with, I think, something like 18 questions about this. Haven't even got a response of, hey, we got your letter, we'll get back to you. Nothing. I don't know. I really question this here. So let's see. So I went over the topic of infections, other colonies infecting. How long are oh, that was the other thing. How long is this vaccine good for? So if you look at the last couple years, and again, my background goes way back. We have vaccines. Like, let's take the flu vaccine for instance. I'm not going to talk about the elephant in the room as far as vaccines are concerned, because that's for another topic another time. But the flu vaccine, Joe Schmo goes down and gets a flu vaccine in November because, hey, the flu's rampant and it's winding up and yada yada yada. And then his doctor tells him next November you got to get another flu vaccine, and the guy looks at the doctor and goes, well, I got one last year. Well, that's no good now. Well, there's another variant, or there's this. So we're going to run into that same problem with AFB. That vaccine has not been suggested to be anything long term. There are some, but very few vaccines out there that are long term. So what are they going to tell the 100-person or 100-colony beekeeper down the road? They're going to tell him, well, you need a booster for your queens. I can see that coming now. This turns into a money-making scheme by the pharmaceutical industry. So, yeah, you gotta. We don't know how long your queen is going to be good for, so we have to give her a booster, because we found out that one queen that was vaccinated in Oklahoma last year that had the vaccine and she was doing good, but then the whole colony got AFB and died. So we recommend a booster, or we recommend a second vaccine, and it's going to be a third vaccine and a fourth vaccine. This is how the flu works. Are they going to come up with an excuse of, well, AFB now has a variant, or bees are, just like they're talking about with some of the bee treatments like Formic Pro and Apivart and stuff. It was supposed to take care of everything, and then now it is, the bees are getting immune to that stuff. So are they going to start getting immune to the vaccine, and the vaccine's not going to work? We don't know. This is all these questions that I have, and that I'm sure a lot of other beekeepers have. One beekeeper in particular that I've spoken to about this in our bee club, I know he's thinking the same things. And so when it comes to, like I said, I'm gun shy when our livestock is being given hormones and it's being given antibiotics, and it's or a vaccine or this drug or that drug. We as beekeepers, we don't know what's going to happen with this. I want to see 5, 8, 10 years of reliability of this stuff. I want to see the results of this stuff. They only want to make it available to beekeepers initially, commercial beekeepers. Well, why? What's the story behind that? Are you going to use these 3,000 colony beekeepers as the test dummies? Are you, as a commercial beekeeper, going to spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on something that's only going to maybe take care of half of your colonies? So if you have 3,000 colonies, 1,500 or 50%, 1,500 of those colonies, it's not going to take. What are they going to tell you? Well, we got to give you a stronger one for them, or we got to give them the booster, okay, to make it better, at another $100 or another $50 or even another $10. I mean, this is ridiculous, folks. A vaccine for AFB. Nowhere in this world is there money made in cures. You look at the 100+ years of research for cancer, for kidney disease, for diabetes, for all kinds of stuff for humans, and now factor in the stuff that goes on with our agriculture industry as far as livestock and stuff like that. You know, we don't have all the answers, and we don't have cures for this stuff. There's no money to be made in cures, because if I come up with a cure for AFB, and it's documented, peer-reviewed, random controlled, peer-reviewed. Remember those words. That's what everything should be done by. And I saw 5 years of my research, and I had 50 other beekeepers and scientists evaluate my research for a cure. And they say, yes, this cures 95% or better of American foul brood. We will just about wipe out American foul brood in this country. Then there wouldn't be any money to be made giving vaccines for AFB or treating AFB or treating EFB. Let's start concentrating on the viruses that are killing our bees every single year because of varroa mite. That is the number one destruction of our bee colonies in this country. It's the number one destruction of pharaoh colonies in this country. So let's concentrate on the cures, but see, there's no money in that. If we just keep masking the symptoms and we keep throwing out vaccines, which are going to need another vaccine, which are going to need another booster, which are going to need another shot and another this, that's money being generated for other people except for us. My other concern is the ingredients of this or any vaccine. There's a thing that's called informed consent. It's a law, which means if I go to my doctor and my doctor says, I want to give you a flu vaccine because the flu's coming up, and you meet some criteria for that. I look at my doctor. That doctor has to say, but let me tell you something. These are the side effects. This is what could happen, with this vaccine, this flu vaccine. It's possible. It's not a big thing, but it's possible. And then give me all that information so that I can make an informed decision as to whether or not I want to put that vaccine into my body, or that drug, or that blood pressure medication, or that diabetic medication. I, by law, have to be given all that. Look at the commercials that you see on TV about different drugs and stuff like that. You'll see 4 an hour on your TV set every single night. And at the end of the commercial, they say, well, may cause dizziness, coughing, sneezing, diarrhea, difficulty breathing, and some of them even death. Please talk to your doctor and be informed. Okay, I want that as far as my vaccine for my honeybees, and they haven't given that information out yet. Maybe they will. But I haven't seen it yet. So, what is the contents of the ingredients of this vaccine that they want to give these honeybees? Is it harmful to a bird that eats these bees? Okay, can it kill those birds? All right, can it do something to them? Can it be harmful in the ingredients that we take off of these honeybees, in our honey, in our wax, okay, which we turn into lip balms that we're putting on lips and using into hand lotions and skin creams and all that other stuff. There has been, a couple vaccines that actually, when they were placed inside the human body, and in the bodies of animals that they tested on, that the body and the bodies of those animals, they actually recreated those ingredients. The body recreated those ingredients over and over, and it killed them. So what's inside of these vaccines? What can it do to our products, our end result products? That's another concern I have. They haven't researched that. They haven't done long enough studies to find out that stuff. Are they testing honey and wax, after 6 months of this vaccine in vaccinated colonies to really see if it's in there? No, they haven't. So I'm very careful on what I put in my stuff. This stuff is all natural. It comes right out of the colony, right out of the hive. The bees make it. Once I get that informed consent, then I can choose to have that vaccine or have my bees have that vaccine. Now, I'm the one that is liable, financially liable, for the destruction that vaccine can do, because I accept it based on the information that I got. are these vaccine companies, can they be held liable? That's another question I have. If it destroys my colonies, or what if it destroys 10% of my colonies? Are they going to reimburse me the thousands of dollars that it took to get those colonies up, and the loss that I suffered because I don't have anything from it? So many questions, no answers to this. I'm really glad that somebody is taking a proactive approach to trying to help our honeybees. If that is indeed the case, and that's a wonderful thing. But 65 million colonies in this country, we do not have a serious epidemic, pandemic, or any demic of issues with American foul brood in this country. People get it, unfortunately, and the whole process of getting foul brood, if you know enough about it, you'll know that most of our colonies have a touch of it in there anyways, but our bees' immune systems and the way that they are created take care of it. And that's the same with us. You have a population that cannot fend off pathogens, and you have a population that can, because their immune systems are good. So I was going to go somewhere else with that, but I can't remember. Really, as any beekeeper, I don't care if you're commercial, I don't care if you have 2 colonies. Before you get all excited about this, research it. When you are left with no questions and you have all the answers, then make your decision. Don't make your decision based on what the TV told you, what your doctor told you, what the veterinarian told you about this vaccine for AFB. Don't even even if your local bee club sits there and goes, okay, this is a good thing, don't take their word for it. Research it yourself so that you are the only one that you have to answer to. Let's see, I know there was something else I was going to touch on, but so we'll go with that for now. So I'm doing some of these molds here. I just have to pause you for a second because I have to grab something. So if you guys don't mind, just hang tight and we'll be right back. I'm back here, and we're just filling up some more molds here, then we're going to melt some more wax down. That was the other thing that crossed my mind a couple nights ago when I was reading the research paper on this vaccine. If I can find a link, because I think David Burns has it, I will post it in the comment section on the YouTube video, as to the studies and stuff on this AFB thing. Mandates. If you look in the last couple of years, this COVID vaccine thing has really hurt a lot of people because certain states and organizations, colleges, universities, employers, they all mandated vaccine as a condition of their schooling, their employment, and everything else. So as far as beekeepers are concerned, what happens a year down the road, 2 years down the road after this is launched, when they tell all the commercial beekeepers, you are now mandated to be a commercial beekeeper to vaccinate all your colonies? What if a 2,000 colony commercial beekeeper who does pollination, okay, that provides us the food, okay, you guys know all about that, what's he going to do when he's got 2,000 colonies that now he doesn't want to begin with, but now he's forced mandated to vaccinate his colonies? He doesn't have the money for it, and plus he's not comfortable with it, and he doesn't agree with it. Now you're taking the choice away, and this is going to happen, folks. Mark my words, write the day and time down. If they launch this, and they feel that it's in the best interest of our bees, that we are going to have to vaccinate our bees. Well, ain't going to happen here, folks. Not on this property. It's just not going to happen. So now they're mandating you to do it. So now you're being forced to put out tens of thousands of dollars for a vaccine for commercial beekeepers and hundreds of dollars for someone like me. And then I got to keep doing this because I got to replace my queens, or my queen died, so I got to come up with another vaccinated queen, so I got to spend more money. Do you see where I'm going with this, everybody? Do you really see where this is going? Okay, we got the vaccine, but we found out through recent studies that you have to have a booster vaccine, or you have to have a higher dose of vaccine. So you guys got to buy that too, and if you don't, and you don't do it within 90 days, we're going to shut your beekeeping operation down. What is that going to do? You guys know what it's going to do. It's going to put us, someone like me, into being an outlaw. I'm going to have to hide my bees in my backyard. I'm going to put tobacco netting over them or something, camouflage netting so nobody sees them. So there's a lot of variables that play into something like this. And I really hope, I genuinely hope that this works out to be some type of a vaccine that is that we can choose to give, and that it has more than 30 to 50% chances of even working. I hope 4 years from now, EFB and AFB can be vaccinated, and that we can knock this down. But again, a vaccine isn't going to cure anything. It's just going to help, so to speak, and that's fine. But we have a huge issue with our mites and the viruses they carry. Let's start working on cures for them. Instead of having to give the beef cattle farmer antibiotics for his beef, which, yes, does come through the meat and does come to us. There's no two ways about it. Let's work on finding a cure for the problem that those beef cows are experiencing. Let's take more proactive approaches and inspect our cattle and make sure that their conditions are cleaner for them. Let's have inspections done that way, so that so that we know that beef is good and doesn't have to have an antibiotic for the pathogens it's picking up because they live on a dirty farm. I don't know how much more that I can say about this, so I do know I had a couple other things in mind, and I'll get them out there eventually. But what I would suggest to everybody at this point, discuss this topic with your local bee clubs, with your friends who do beekeeping. Take everything, all the information I've just given to you that a lot of other people aren't thinking about. They're just thinking about, the vaccine itself, and feed it to each other and make your own determinations. If I had any influence on people, I would say stop for a minute, take a deep breath, read the research, write all your questions down, have the powers that be answer those questions and give you guarantees before you put this stuff into your bees, into your wax, into your honey, and into other bees, other colonies. If it's a choice down the road, still a choice, and I don't want my bees vaccinated because I'm not comfortable with it yet, but I have other bees from Joe Schmo down the street who are vaccinated, I don't want the chances of anything from there coming into my colonies, and that's just the way I am. So we're going to keep doing molds here for another hour or so, and I hear the sleet coming down outside. It's supposed to be a little nasty here a little while. So we're going to keep doing this and working at it, and we got some good videos that I'm thinking about coming up. It is beekeeping year-round, really. We get that break during the holidays and stuff, but now that we're into the cabin fever mode, it's mid-January, we got to start cleaning frames, making frames, putting foundation. I have a bunch of frames here and about another 150 outside that got to get put together. New foundations, so we can put new foundations in our colonies this year. Cleaning your boxes up, getting the old propolis off, save all that stuff. Save all that old comb. Look what it can do right here. So put it all in a bucket and save it. I have a OA vaporizer that I want to throw out at everybody. Some of you may have seen it already. I'm not going to tell you what it is until I get the video going. But yeah, bring this discussion up to your bee club. I plan on doing that here real soon in the next month. And hopefully we have a great discussion about it and get everybody's feelings about the vaccine for AFB. I hope it is something that really works out, pans out. But for right now and for some time, I'm talking probably a couple years, it's nothing nothing that I am going to be putting into my colonies. So everybody have a great rest of your work week. I'm glad I could take this time to talk to you. And please, if you have any questions, throw them in the comment section down on the YouTube. If you're on Gab, I'm called the American Captain without the "the" in it. But there's a beekeeping group on there, a lot of knowledgeable beekeepers. We all learn from each other there and pass around some great ideas and help each other out. So YouTube are there. That's great. Like and subscribe to this channel, please. If you want to just have more of a community and more of a network to watch and learn from, hit the little bell on the bottom right hand side, and that will notify you when I have a video that I throw up. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll talk to you soon.